So you want to know more about OpenEyes Technologies, Inc. We went through all the stuff you sent over their website, product descriptions, even some awards they've won, and let me tell you, there's a lot to unpack here. This company is doing some really fascinating things.
Yeah, they're really making waves.
More than just software, it's their whole approach, the human element that makes them stand out.
It's interesting, isn't it, how they've created this system of tools that are all interconnected.
Oh, yeah.
At first glance, you see things like credential management, AI-powered surveys, even a tool for organizing links. And you might think, wait, how does this all fit together?
Yeah, I was a little overwhelmed when I first looked at all of it. It's a lot to take in.
Right, but the common thread running through all of their products is this focus on helping companies build up their workforce in a smarter, more efficient way.
Okay, I see what you mean. So it's about more than just like automating tasks.
Exactly. It's about creating a more holistic approach to talent development.
Yeah.
Like imagine a company using OpenEyes to create training materials. And then they use OpenEyes to assess how well employees are learning and even streamline their entire HR process. It all works together.
So instead of just buying a bunch of separate software for each thing, OpenEyes is trying to create this connected system that makes everything work better.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And one of the things that seems to be everywhere in their products is this thing called the Automated Item Generator, or AIG for short.
Oh, yeah, AIG. I saw that mentioned a lot. What is that exactly?
Well, it pops up in their surveys, assessments, even in their market research tools. It's like their secret weapon.
Okay, so it's clearly a big deal for them, but what does it actually do?
Imagine this. You need to create a survey for a research project.
Okay, yeah.
Usually you'd have to spend hours, maybe even days, crafting the perfect questions, making sure they're clear, unbiased, and get you the data you need.
Right, that's always the trickiest part, especially avoiding those leading questions that accidentally influence people's answers.
Exactly. Well, AIG is OpenEye's solution to that problem.
Hmm.
It uses artificial intelligence to instantly generate those questions for you. And not just any questions. It's been trained on tons of data about best practices in question design, different question types, even how to avoid bias.
So it's like having all this human expertise built right into the system.
It is. Think of it as years of experience all concentrated into an algorithm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would save a ton of time and effort.
Absolutely. And think about the impact on something like market research. You could get the data you need so much faster and then use that data to make smarter decisions.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of making things easier, they seem to have a big focus on certifications and credentials too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I saw they have the automatic item generator we were just talking about, a whole credential management system, and even something called an item bank. What even is an item bank?
Good question. An item bank is essentially a database of questions
Okay.
that can be used to create assessments, like a massive pool of pre-vetted questions ready to go.
So instead of having to write every question from scratch, you can pull from this bank of existing ones.
Exactly. It's especially important for professional certifications.
Right, where you have to make sure all the questions meet certain standards and are really testing the right skills.
And this focus on certifications makes sense when you consider how many industries rely on them. Healthcare, finance, tech. Being able to prove you have the skills is essential.
It's like your credentials are becoming almost as important as your resume these days.
Right. So OpenEyes is basically giving companies a one-stop shop for creating, managing, and even delivering those certifications.
And they're even using AI to make the process faster and more efficient.
Exactly. They're not just digitizing existing processes, they're reinventing them entirely.
And they're applying that same innovative approach to feedback too, with this tool called Feedback AI, right?
You got it. And this one's pretty cool.
It really caught my eye, using platforms like Google Home and Alexa to get real-time feedback. I mean, that's brilliant.
Right. Imagine you're watching a training video and something isn't clear. Instead of having to wait to fill out a survey later, you could just say, "Hey Alexa, tell Feedback AI that I need more explanation on this concept."
That's so much more natural than filling out a survey.
And think about how valuable that instant feedback loop would be for companies.
Yeah. They could be making adjustments to their training programs in real time based on what people are actually saying.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like having a live focus group, but everyone can participate from wherever they are.
Makes it a lot less intimidating than traditional feedback methods, too.
Right. More conversational, more human. And speaking of adapting to different needs, they have another platform that's specifically designed to be super flexible.
Yeah, their assessment and delivery platform. It's like the Swiss Army knife of assessments. I saw that they say it can be used for everything from recruitment and training to safety procedures and online certifications.
Pretty impressive, right?
It is.
Instead of having a one-size-fits-all approach, they've built a platform that can adapt to all sorts of different needs.
That's smart. Every company is different, so why should they all have to use the same assessment tools?
Exactly. So whether you're a small startup or a huge corporation, you can use this platform to screen job candidates, track training progress, create certification exams, you name it.
All tailored to your specific requirements. That's really powerful.
And it really speaks to their focus on understanding their clients' needs. It's something we see throughout their offerings.
Yeah, it's clear they're not just throwing technology at a problem and hoping for the best. They're taking the time to figure out what people actually need and then building solutions around those needs.
And they don't stop at just providing the technology.
Right,
They
right.
even offer consulting services to help companies actually implement these solutions effectively.
It's a much more hands-on approach than a lot of other tech companies take. And it seems like they have a really strong emphasis on building strong teams internally too, right?
Absolutely. Their website talks a lot about ethical management practices and their commitment to creating a positive work environment.
It's refreshing to see a tech company that's actually prioritizing people, both internally and externally.
It's clear that they're not just in it for a quick profit. They're building a company for the long haul, and they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, and it seems to be working for them. I mean, they were even recognized as an Inc. 500 awardee, which means they're one of the fastest growing private companies in the country.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing something right. Now, I think it's time to take a closer look at some of their specific products.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with their learning management system, or LMS.
Right.
So their LMS is web-based, which is great for accessibility, and it seems to have all the standard features you'd expect: course creation, student progress tracking, and so on. But what makes OpenEyes LMS stand out from the crowd?
The really interesting thing here is how tightly it's integrated with their other systems, especially the automated item generator for creating assessments and quizzes.
Ah, right. So they're using AI to make the LMS even smarter.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about AIG being able to create those data-driven questions that are tailored to specific learning objectives?
Yeah, so instead of just having a basic LMS, they've created a system where the learning materials, the assessments, even the feedback mechanisms are all working together.
Right. They're creating a much more holistic and engaging learning experience. They're not just delivering content, they're actually facilitating learning.
Now, I have to admit, I was a bit puzzled by their Kip Links tool at first.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a way to save and categorize web links, but I wasn't sure why it was such a big deal. I mean, we all have bookmarks, right?
Right. But think about it this way. You're researching a topic, maybe it's something complex, with lots of different angles.
Okay, yeah.
You find tons of articles, reports, videos.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming.
It can be hard to keep track of it all, that's for sure.
Exactly. So Kip links is like bookmarking on steroids. You can add all sorts of extra information to each link.
Hmm.
Keywords, summaries, the source, the date you saved it.
So it's more like a research database than just a list of bookmarks.
Exactly. And you can even share your collections of links with other people.
Oh, so you could build a shared knowledge base where everyone on your team can contribute.
Exactly.
That's a great way to make sure everyone has access to the most up-to-date information.
Right. It's all about knowledge management and collaboration.
Which seems to be a recurring theme with OpenEyes.
It does, doesn't it? And this idea of centralizing information and streamlining processes ties in perfectly with their MOE platform.
MOE, right, their cloud-based solution for all things HR.
You got it.
That's a pretty comprehensive system. They've got everything in there, from recruiting and onboarding to performance reviews and payroll.
It's like they took every HR task imaginable and put it all in one place.
Makes sense given their focus on the human element. It's like they're trying to make HR's life easier so they can spend less time on tedious paperwork and more time focusing on people.
Exactly. They're automating those repetitive processes so HR professionals can focus on what really matters. Employee development, engagement, creating a great work environment.
It's another example of how they're using technology to empower people rather than replace them.
Right. And that's a powerful idea.
It is. It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
What else could we be doing with technology to make the world a better place?
That's a great question.
That's really something to think about, isn't it? How we can use these tools to make a positive impact.
It is. It's like, yeah, technology can help us do all these amazing things, but are we using it in a way that actually benefits people?
Yeah. Are we just making things faster and more efficient, or are we actually making things better?
Right. And that's what I find so compelling about OpenEyes. They're not just focused on the bottom line. They really seem to be committed to building technology that aligns with their values.
They're not just chasing profits, they're trying to create a better future, and that's something you don't see very often in the tech world.
Exactly. They're walking the walk,
Yeah.
not just talking the talk. And speaking of global impact, do you notice where they have offices?
Oh, yeah, they're in Washington, D.C., of course, but then also Santa Clara in India.
Right. So they have this global presence, which suggests they're thinking beyond just the U.S. market.
Yeah, they're thinking about how their technology can be used to address challenges on a global scale.
And having teams in different parts of the world gives them access to a much wider range of perspectives and experiences, which can only make their products better.
Absolutely. It's like they're weaving all these different cultures and ideas into the fabric of their company.
It's really quite inspiring.
It is. Okay, so let's recap a bit. We've talked about their interconnected ecosystem of tools and how they're using AI and machine learning to revolutionize things like question design with the automated item generator.
Right.
We've also discussed their focus on certifications and credentials and how they're streamlining that whole process for both businesses and individuals.
And we talked about their really unique approach to feedback, using platforms like Alexa and Google Home to get real-time input.
Which is a total game changer in terms of how we think about feedback, right? And their assessment and delivery platform is incredibly versatile. It can be adapted to so many different
It's
needs.
like they've created a Swiss Army knife of assessment tools.
Exactly. But beyond all the cool features and innovative technology, what really stands out to me is their unwavering commitment to ethical business practices and putting their clients first.
And their internal culture, too. They seem to really value their employees and create an environment where everyone can thrive.
Absolutely. It's clear that they're not just a tech company, they're a human-centric solutions company. They understand that technology is just a tool.
It's a means to an end.
Exactly. The real goal is to empower people to achieve more, to learn more, to create a better world. And that brings us back to that question we were pondering earlier.
If OpenEyes is all about using technology to empower people, what can we do as individuals to use technology in a way that empowers ourselves and those around us?
Right. What can we do to make sure technology is a force for good in our lives?
That's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is, but it's also an incredibly exciting opportunity.
Exactly.
OpenEyes is showing us that it's possible to blend cutting-edge technology with a deep understanding of human needs, and to use that combination to make a real difference in the world.
They're setting a new standard for what it means to be a responsible tech company.
So as we continue to learn and grow and explore all the incredible things that technology has to offer, let's keep that question top of mind.
How can we use technology to create a brighter future for everyone?
It really is. It's like they've cracked the code.
Yeah, they've figured out how to build a successful tech company without compromising their values.
And it makes you wonder, if more companies followed their lead, could we actually use technology to solve some of the world's biggest problems?
It's a really interesting thought. I mean, imagine what we could accomplish if we all focused on using technology to empower people.
Exactly. Instead of just creating more stuff, more gadgets, more distractions, what if we use technology to create more opportunities, more connections, more understanding?
What if we used it to build bridges instead of walls?
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up our deep dive into OpenEyes Technologies, Inc., I think the biggest takeaway for me is that they're not just a company, they're a movement.
Absolutely. They're proving that it's possible to do business differently, to put people first, to use technology for good.
They're a company with a conscience, and that's something we need more of in the world.
No doubt about it. They're definitely a company worth watching.
Well said. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into OpenEyes Technologies, Inc. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found this exploration insightful and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And remember, the future is what we make it. So let's use technology to create a future we can all be proud of.